Hi. So I thought that today we could make a video that kind of addresses some of the imbalances and discomfort that occurs when we sit at a desk for long periods of time. So essentially what's happening in the body is you're sitting here, you're typing. So you're rounding the shoulders, you're jutting the chin forward. And what this does is it causes the pec muscles here to become tight and short. And then the back muscles and the external rotators don't get enough activation, and so they are weaker and they're pulled around to the front. We have the chin, coming forward here, the suboccipitals here at the base of the skull become strained and tight. And so releasing some of the tightness and then strengthening some of the weaker muscles is where we are going to try to correct some of these issues. Down here at the hip, when you're in this position, the hip flexors become short. They're not given that full range of motion as they would if you were standing. So they're short and then becoming rather tight. You're not activating the glute or the lower back, so they become a little bit weaker. And these tight hip flexors and even hamstrings down here pull everything around to the front and then down below. So you end up with an anteriorly rotated pelvis and you end up with low back pain. So we're going to do a set of stretches and some strengthening exercises and a little bit of foam rolling to try to think about how we can correct some of this. So starting with our stretches, we're going to be in the chair, and this is something you can absolutely do at work throughout the day if you would like. So let's drop the chin down to chest and just first think about stretching out those tight neck muscles. Inhale, gazing out over that right shoulder. Exhale, release chin to chest. Inhale, left. Exhale, release. Once more, inhale, right. And exhale, chin to chest. Inhale, left. Good, releasing that chin down once more. We're going to think about now opening up the chest. So you're going to gently reach back behind you for the back outer part of the chair. Now, depending on how flexible you are in the chest, you're going to scoot forward a tiny bit on your chair and then just tip forward with the flat back. What this is doing is it's opening up the shoulders and it's stretching into the chest. If you need a little bit more, you can gently tiptoe those fingers up. Good. Thinking about to elicit that stretch response, we need about 30 seconds per exercise. So however long you would like to go, however much time you have, these are just some stretches that can be done. Let's open up the chest here. Find 90-degree bends in the elbows. Open up, release the scapula back. Roll the shoulder blades down the back and now gently release head and neck back. Good. You're just feeling a nice stretch here in the chest. And let's release the palms. We're going to find a nice twist in the chair. So inhale, hands and eyes to sky. And exhale, twist out to the right, placing that left hand on the outside of that right knee. Inhale, hands and eyes to sky. And now exhale, twist left. Just finding that twist. Inhale, hands and eyes to sky. Once more, twist out to the right. Inhale, hands and eyes up, and exhale, left. I'm going to do one more here, and this one is meant to address tightness in the shoulders, those posterior delts. You're going to take and make eagle arms, and what that means is you're going to place the right palm in front of the left, right elbow in front of the left, but now you're going to wrap and bind. And this is eagle arms. Now you're going to gently round the back forward, and now extend the thoracic spine, releasing head and neck back. Now round forward. And as you extend the thoracic spine, you're gently elevating the elbows and lower. Nice and slow and controlled. As you elevate the elbows, feeling the stretch there in the back of the shoulders. And round. And once more, inhale. Releasing head and neck back as you extend and exhale round. Good. So those are just a couple of stretches that you can do seated in your chair. We're going to take it up to standing, and we're going to do a little bit of strengthening in the anterior or the posterior deltoids, the external rotators in the shoulder. We're going to start with some internal and external rotation. So the rotator cuff muscles are basically just everything that surrounds the top of the humerus there. And it's very easy to injure them. So strengthening is a very good idea. So you're going to start with a band, and you want it to be right about the height in which you can make a 90-degree bend in your elbow. You're standing away from the anchor point, and you're rotating in and back out. Rotate in across the body and slowly come back out. So this internal rotation is a great strengthening exercise. And now you're going to take the opposite hand and you're going to externally rotate right here. And externally rotate. Good. So you're going to think about doing that and then switching sides. And now the opposite hand is getting the internal rotation. And then think about your external rotation on the other side as well. Now we're going to come over to an elevated anchor point. We're going to do a face pull. So face pull, you've got a neutral grip here. Your thumbs are on the inside. And what you're going to be doing is bringing the elbows back and now gently releasing them behind the back. Good. And you're coming towards the face. So you're here and behind the back. Good. Bringing everything back and now forward. And back and now forward. And as you come back, you're going to feel the shoulder blades come together. And what we're thinking about is that scapular retraction. So when you sit at the desk, everything rounds. You want to think about bringing it up, releasing it back behind the back, and strengthening in this position because this helps with that perfect posture, a nice flat back right here. We don't want this, we want this. All right, so one more exercise to strengthen, and this one essentially is strengthening the lats. It's bringing the humerus back behind, a straight arm push down. So palms are parallel to the shoulder, and you're going to gently come down towards the hip and bring it back up, nice and slow. Gently come down towards the hip and back up. All right, so those are just some strengthening exercises that can be done. From personal experience, they definitely make a difference. And you know, you're thinking about physical therapy, so not a lot of weight, not a lot of resistance. 3 sets of 10, I would say. All exercises and every other day. No more than every other day. Definitely not every day. You want to take a small bit of rest in between. So now we're going to move on to the foam roll and our tennis balls in our sock. Starting with the foam roll, we are going to just roll out a couple of areas that are going to be tight because of the position at the desk. Starting with our hip flexors. So I like to combine foam rolling with a yoga position. And so since we're rolling our hips, I like to combine with some hip opening. We're gonna start on the right side, and you're just gonna gently lay side saddle on your foam roller. And you're gonna find your hip bone. Now gently roll just beneath and to the outside. You're gonna find probably a tight spot. And when you're on a foam roller, it is gonna feel uncomfortable if you are tight, because essentially, again, it's just massaging out that trigger point, that tight ball of muscle. So you'll find that uncomfortable spot, and you're gonna just gently allow gravity to press out that tight muscle. So you can just lay on your roll. Now this roll is special. It vibrates and it's amazing. It's essentially doing a lot of the work for me, so I don't even have to roll as much. I can just rest on top of it. That vibration absolutely stimulates the muscle activation, and then what comes right after that is just that release. So they have these at the BX, and there's different settings. They're quite wonderful. So, but after we roll the hip, you can move down into the quad. Everything's connected. So if your hip is tight, your quad is probably tight as well. And you're just running down along the top of the thigh. What I like to do is 3 times up and down, always mindful of joints. You want to keep 2 inches above that kneecap at all times. But then you're going to stop midpoint along the muscle. And then you're going to do what's called spanning back and forth. So you're rolling back and forth. Good, and bring it back up to that hip. And we're going to get the other side, always thinking about both sides whenever you're rolling. But for today's purposes, just showing one side, and then we're going to come into what's called an active child's pose. So we just rolled the hip, release the muscle, and now we're going to open up the hips. So bringing big toes together, knees wide. We're going to sit hips back over the heels. Relax and release the head and neck. Active child's pose. If you have one yoga pose you can do in a day, this might be it. You're opening up the hips. You're bringing the pelvic floor back where it wants to be, where it needs to be. And you're stretching into the upper back and shoulders. Right, so now that we've kind of addressed the tight hips, we're going to address the hamstrings. There's definitely some tightness there as well. So we're going to just have a seat on the roll. There's 2 kinds of rolls. There's a long one and then there is a shorter one. This one's shorter, and shorter can be more effective for certain aspects of foam rolling, and then the long one can be very effective as well. So it's good to have both options. But you're just gently rolling up and down that hamstring. Again, always mindful of joints, so the back of the kneecap keeping an inch above. Good, and you can roll up into the glute if you would like. Everything is connected, so getting your tight glutes, just have a seat. And now that we've rolled up and down 3 times, we're going to span back and forth, just releasing the muscle in a more effective way. And along with our hamstring release, we're going to do butterfly pose. So you're bringing your heels together. Good, flat back, tipping at the waist and just coming forward. Good, and coming up. All right, so now we are going to do some thoracic extension. Now what thoracic extension does for the back is it strengthens the mid and upper back muscles. So we have this rounded, from sitting at the desk. So this is going to open everything up, strengthen it to keep everything where it needs to be. So you're going to lay on your roll, just placing it a little bit below the chest so that your torso is hanging off of the roll. I'm going to move right here so I'm a little more visible. So you're hanging off the roll, and you're going to gently squeeze shoulder blades together, cactusing those arms, bringing everything back and bringing shoulder blades together, and now release forward. Inhale up, Exhale, release forward. And inhale up. And exhale, release. So thoracic extension, we did a little bit of that in my previous video. And it's just very effective for that strengthening that we need. Next, we're gonna roll the lats. So you're gonna lay on that right side once more. And you're gonna place the foam roll underneath your armpit. And you're gonna gently lower down so that the back of your armpit into that shoulder blade is just resting on the roll. And this should be enough. You should feel some tightness here. You can gently move up and down if you like, but you're just trying to get into the lats in the back of the shoulder. You can gently span forward and back, being very mindful of the smaller muscles around the shoulder. So rolling the lats is very effective. Good. And now taking it to a nice seated position, we're going to wrap arms around the shoulders, gently separating the shoulder blades. All right. So now we are going to do one more exercise, and it has to do with the tennis ball and the sock. These tiny little muscles at the base of the skull, the suboccipitals, become very tight. And so what we're going to do is, rather than actually actively rolling on them, we're going to place the tennis ball just at the base of the skull, and we're going to gently come down to rest head and neck on the floor. And this is, you're going to slowly feel and press into those tight little muscles there. If you like, you can gently shake your head no, nod your head yes, and just feel everything press out. About 30 seconds to a minute usually is enough to release some of that tension. So this was just a couple of exercises and stretches that can be done, things that have shown me relief over the years. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or reach out. Have a good day.